Hello and welcome to my shop tour 2022. This is the doorway, and just inside you can see I've got tools hung on the walls, my crosscut sled for my table saw, chisels and so on. Swinging around, you see the first machine here. It's a SIP belt and disc sander. I don't use the disc a lot, I prefer to use the belt, and it does a lot of the shaping for me on the small parts that I use. Again, loads of tools on the wall behind it, hung up, because in a small workshop that's what you've got to do. Here's the first of the new machines that I bought. It's a Trend shop vacuum, and it takes the dust from the sander and also from the table saw, and I can hoover the whole shop because the hose is pretty long. The table saw is a Bosch GTS 10XC, and it's a very good saw, very versatile, very accurate, and it does exactly what I need it to do. Moving on around it is my pillar drill. I made a table and fence for this, and I can move stops along. The fence slides in or out where I need it. Down below I've got drill bits in these drawers, and I've even got the ones I use most often hung up here on the wall beside it. And beside that I've got the next new machine that I bought, which is a Metabo Benchtop bandsaw. Again, very nice little machine. I had to replace the record power bandsaw I had last summer because it seized up. More about that later. On the wall you can see some blades for that machine, and also double-sided tape. I tend to do a lot of the finishing work on this little bench here, so it's got lots of loads of little pieces of timber on it. And swinging around here then we've got the Mortiser, a machine that I don't use very often, but it's a nice little machine. When it comes to making trailers, I do the outriggers on trailers using the Mortiser. And swinging around here, I've got a bobbin sander for doing my internal curves for sanding, and it's got its own little cheap dust extractor on it there, but it does the job. And in the corner here I've got my timber that I use. I have some maple here, some ash and some walnut, and there's small pieces of sapele, wenge and other bits and pieces there as well. Swinging around here, there's my record power bandsaw. It's been reconditioned, all the bearings were changed and the motor overhauled. And here beside it is the next new machine that I put in the shop, and that's a Metabo planar thicknesser. Now I use the planar much more than the thicknesser because I need to get pieces really straight to build decent models, but I don't often have to use the thicknesser. And then swinging around beside that, my next new machine is a SIP lathe. On the last job I was doing, a vacuum tanker, I burned out the motor on the last lathe I had. It wasn't a very good one, it wasn't a cheap model, but this one is a far better machine. It's got adjustable speed on it here, and goes from 450 revs up to about 2250 revs. Nice machine, very nice machine. I like it. So far everything moves with precision. Sitting on top of that you got a radio, most important piece of equipment in the shop, and underneath you got the heater, again very important. Up on the walls again you've got loads of tools. Everywhere you look there's tools on the wall here because I don't have a lot of room. And here you can see a fire extinguisher. This is the one I call the last resort, because if you use this one it's going to destroy the building. It's only for use if the building's about to burn down. In here I've loads of small tools again hung on the walls, and sanding stuff, paper and files. I make little sanding files now and again by sticking sandpaper to small pieces of timber to get me into whatever spaces I need to get into. And again, more tools on the wall. And here are my other two fire extinguishers, one for electrical and one for wood or anything else that's on fire. Up here I've got a little cordless skill saw for chopping off whatever length I need off the long lengths of timber I have down there. And beside that I've got my first aid kit, most important in a workshop like this. You just slide open those and it opens down, and there's a quite comprehensive first aid kit there. Very good. That's about it. If I turn around, you can see that the workshop is not very big at all, but it's big enough for me to do what I need to do. It's 4.8 meters by 2.4 or 16 feet by 8 if you prefer that. Thank you very much. Talk again soon.